Welcome to episode 50 of Why Not Read Alpha Flight with Tom Flynn
and Chris Baker, a podcast where we take your favorite series seriously. Thanks for tuning back in with us, folks. Tom, we are about halfway through the James D. Hudnall run of Alpha Flight Volume 1, and I thought this would be a good chance for me as the experienced elder here to check in with my young Padawan and get a temp check. What are you thinking here?
I mean, my temperature was fine until you called me a young Padawan, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh, Obi Kenobi, calm down.
I think we kind of got at this in the last episode that I'm kind of accepting where we're at. I mean, this is not the same series we started with. Its DNA has changed substantially. I don't really love by any means the Hudnall run. I think there are a lot of problems with it, but I don't know. I think the two issues we have today are not great, but they're fine. I did have a thought though. I'm wondering, this series starts with John Byrne, and then it goes for a very long time with Bill Mantlo, and then they switch over to Hudnall. Do you think that the Hudnall run, with all of its sort of meanderings and its muddling and all that, do you think that this is what kills Alpha Flight as an ongoing series?
Golly, this is less of a warm-up thought and more of a wrap-up thought, but yeah, I actually do. I think that you can take creative teams and switch them around, and you can have different eras of books that work well. And what happened with Hudnall, and we have to include Calimee on this, is that this run just doesn't land. Well,
and what's also striking to me, and this is, you mentioned that there are some shifts that happen in the next couple issues, but there have been so many, interruptions to this story.
Mm-hmm.
The weird Heather espionage thing. It just
Acts of Vengeance, the two issues that we glossed over. And we're still going to gloss over this episode, folks.
It feels like it never really gets moving. And I almost wonder if given how quickly they shifted off of Mantlo onto Hudnall in such an abrupt manner, if that was an attempt to give this book another shot. And after this, it feels more, I feel like these issues are more marking time than they are necessarily a bigger story, or I don't know. It just feels like the momentum behind the series has there was momentum when Mantlo was writing it. It was going towards things, whether we liked it or not, but it just sort of feels like it's slowly drowning.
It does feel like it lost its momentum, and Hudnall is trying to take everything that came before him on Alpha Flight and wrap that up into a big meta narrative with his villain on top and pulling the strings on everything that's been happening so far. And it is really remaking and transferring ownership, I guess, of a lot of those stories over into what Hudnall's doing. And it just doesn't, he's not pulling off that story.
Yeah, it's not working.
If Grant Morrison came in and tried to do this on Alpha Flight, it would have gone over better, because that's kind of what he did with X-Men, where he kind of tied a bunch of other stuff together and pulled it forward into the future under a new narrative force. But Hudnall's no Grant Morrison.
Right. I mean, and that's what I think really what we're running into here is that this creative team just isn't strong enough to do what they seem to be trying to do. And but again, maybe this is just the acceptance phase. I don't know, but I'm not that angry about it. It's a series I'm reading. I'm vaguely curious to see what comes next, because I care about these characters. I think the moment that I stop caring about the characters is the moment that that's when you stop reading a series, right? Is when you just don't care what happens next.
And that's why I've read every issue of Alpha Flight, is because I cared about the characters, and when you're a fan of serialized long form story comics like this, you have to take the good with the bad. One thing that I've been thinking about is that we keep talking about Alpha Flight Volume 1 as this whole unit. And it's not. It's only a publishing convention that gives us 1 through 130. That's Volume 1. And then we have this separate one that starts in this year. When you're reading this as they're coming out monthly, you don't know that this book ends with issue 130. You don't know that there is a coherent beginning and end to arcs. You don't know when people are coming and going as far as writers and whatnot. You're just showing up every month and getting the story, like you said, about the characters that you care about. And it does change how you read this, because I can't imagine many readers who had started in Mantlo and ran through the Mantlo run because they were digging what was happening. If you care about those characters, what Hudnall is doing here is so different that I'm not sure it's going to resonate. So it's hard to put ourselves in the month to month as if everything is a surprise position. And I'm not sure what percentage of our listeners have read all of Alpha Flight and what percentage are doing this in lieu of reading Alpha Flight, you know? Because this is a great way to be like, look, I'm never going to sit down and read 130 issues of Alpha Flight, but I can listen to this podcast on my commute for a year. You know,
I mean, Lord knows I never thought I was going to sit down and read 130 issues of Alpha Flight, but here we are. Here we are. Well,
speaking of here we are, that's a great transition, Tom. Thank you for setting me up. We're going to transition into the story so far, which in one of the issues that we covered this week, the book itself describes that summation as what has gone before. And I thought that was really cool. What has gone before. I'm not sure I want to change the title of the bit, but
I think it's worth mentioning it every so often, but I think the story so far is a little bit pithier, and we should go for pithy.
Yeah, it seems like it's a traditional type of thing about, dropping into a serialized entertainment. So the story so far, we are still slogging through the Sorcerer story, which is being woven as this big meta story to tie together all the bad guys in history of Alpha Flight under one master villain and one master plan with, shall we say, limited success.
As such, mystical powerhouse Elizabeth Two Youngmen, aka Talisman, has come back to the team and begun cryptically bossing around the rest of the team to counter Lan's plans with, again, limited success. I mean, that could actually be that should be the name of this arc.
Yeah, limited success. Oh, that was mean, Tom. This has rankled team leader, the totally human Heather Hudson, who has been sidelined as field leader by these cryptic actions. Heather has also been sidelined from her engagement to fellow Alphan Mr. Madison Jeffries, aka Box, who has undergone a complete character change, assassination, pick one, under Hudnall's pen and has been cheating on Heather with brand new Alphan and former Omega Flight member Diamond Lil Crawley, who definitely helped kill Heather's husband and Alpha Flight founder James McDonald Hudson, aka Guardian, way back in issue number 12.
There are other plot threads we could pull at and characters we could bring up. Shaman's back, Puck's back, only sort of for both of those two. But that's kind of what you need to know for this episode, because they barely show up at all.
And as always, there is, of course, our friend, secret agent, linebacker, superhero, Dr. Walter Lankowski, aka Sasquatch, because if there's an Alpha Flight book, Sasquatch is in it.
I mentioned that the main team is barely in these issues, and that's accurate. Sasquatch is the least in these issues, and wearing a shirt, I don't think
what the hell? It's these black and white stripes. He looks kind of like the Sandman, but without color.
It's really terrible. And it's also further proof that Walter is not Walt and is not Wanda, because neither Walt nor Wanda would have been found dead wearing that fucking shirt. Last episode, we mentioned almost in passing.
Oh, it wasn't almost in passing, friend.
I mean, we barely mentioned that issues 79 and 80 were tie-ins to the crossover Acts of Vengeance, and were really just gratuitous violence that was part of Lan's plan because he needed violence to open up the butthole of the world for some magic purpose. And yeah, that's kind of all we're going to say about that. We're going to let that summation stand and pick up with
Alpha Flight number 81, titled Prisoners, cover date February 1990.
Wow.
I actually had to scroll down, but you're right. Yeah, like we are in the 90s. We're going to talk about that in a second, but it does take you back, doesn't it, Tom?
That's so weird that we've been reading this for to cover that period of.
James D. Hudnall writing, John Calimee penciling, Mike Manley on inks, Janice Chiang on letters, Bob Sharen on colors, Marc McLaurin as associate editor, Carl Potts as the editor, and Tom DeFalco as simply chief, which I believe is an again.
It is, in fact, an again.
And before we exit the credits section here, our credits look different. Did you notice that on your read-through, Tom?
Yeah, different enough that it made me pay attention.
Yeah, we don't have our stylized black and white page with all the fonts and the sketch. We're back to having the names in the negative space outside the splash page opening, like a regular comic book. One more piece of that Alpha Flight DNA has just been tossed out.
On the cover, North Star is back. And damn, does he look good? Because, this cover is by John Byrne.
Jean Byrne.
Jean Byrne. I mean, it's an interesting, well, interesting is one way of putting it. It's an interesting experience opening up a John Byrne cover and finding Calimee art. It is jarring as hell.
Selling something like this should be criminal. You should not have a great wrapper and then filled with Calimee. Sorry.
On the cover, North Star is being manhandled by a bunch of muscly brutes wearing armor, and he's got a 3-day stubble beard going, which we've never seen him anything but clean shaven.
Are we sure this cover wasn't drawn by Greg Land?
Text on the cover says, Quest for North Star, with a stylized North Star logo with a starburst in the O. I don't think we've ever seen anything quite like that before.
I think we might have seen it as some type of like a pin-up accompaniment or something like that. But as we mentioned, we have officially crossed over into the 90s and things do immediately feel different. Isn't it amazing? Like that 1990 break in Marvel Comics, as soon as you pick it up, feels totally different. If you look closely at the cover, Tom, there is a TM after that North Star logo. This is an era where that TM starts popping up on like all the covers. In fact, it started for Alpha Flight with issue 79 because 78 has Doctor Strange's logo for his name for his guest appearance, and there's no TM there. Before this, you would see the TM or sometimes the R in a circle for a registered trademark next to the book's logo, but not like for every character. At one point in time, I had a better working knowledge of the difference between these and how to use them, but I'm unclear on the difference and have no desire to look it up. So I'd rather talk about logos than what's inside these issues. So in addition to TMing every name that appears on the cover, this was also an era when every character was getting fitted with a logo. Like think about the X-Men cartoon, how each one that they introduce has their name in their own stylized logo that flies above their head. In fact, I make a patch of the Beast logo because I make a great Beast face and they go together like peanut butter and jelly. And by logo here, I mean the specific visual representation of the character's or team's name, the thing at the top of the cover on a comic book. By comparison, an icon would be like the non-text visual shorthand for the same, like the FF's 4 or the Avengers A or the X-Men's X, etc.
I'm sure there's a real industry term for all this. I mean, this is actually, I think, interesting conversation about branding and design. But we are not comics industry people. If you'd like to actually us on any of the previous section, please send an email to whynotapod@gmail.com, whynotehpod@gmail.com. I love saying it. We would be happy to find out the real terms.
Splash page open of Talisman sitting cryptically in her circle of power in the new Maison Alpha. And we have seen like a hallway of this building so far. Like it looked like an industrial school or utility company on the outside when we saw it. Like this base is an afterthought. It's just a place to park Elizabeth, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that was her entire intention.
Yeah, she said it was built on a place of power, so they needed this building in this city here.
I feel like the rest of that, the Maison, probably looks like the Backrooms movie. Like just nothing but like empty, crappy 70s office space, and you know that there's something lurking in the closet.
Mixed in with like that weird ass warehouse they had at the beginning of Mantlo when they had the trial of North Star, where it's like some random room from a video game with barrels and ropes and crates and things just sitting around.
I like the idea that if this were a series, Alpha Flight is always doing a bottle episode. It's just, the
but
same
in a
room.
different bottle every time.
Yeah, different bottle every time. They just reuse the same room for every scene, every shot. It just, they move a chair. That's the only difference.
That's what makes an Alpha Flight TV show problematic, is that they can't afford to keep making new sets for their new bases, and they really want to make the one base set and then use it.
Well, it would be if they really wanted to lean into the Alpha Flight nature of Alpha Flight for a TV show, they would film trees getting destroyed by Sasquatch, and every episode they would use the same clip over and over again, like they did in the 80s, where like they would repeat the same fight scene over and over. Like that would be really choice.
Just
like
flip
that would
it side to side horizontally. So he pulls the tree out from the left on one, and then 2 shots later he pulls the tree out from the right.
It would be so choice. There is such a great way to do an like avant-garde version of Alpha Flight as a show, and yeah, we're not going to get that though.
Well, back to Talisman's cryptic magic circle. I love just calling everything she does cryptic. I'm going to see how many times we can use it in one episode. Her magic circle isn't as cool as Shaman's magic room in the old Maison Alpha, which, if you recall, I really liked. It had these like shimmery walls. I was looking forward to seeing that done in a live action presentation of Alpha Flight. That'd be really cool. This is boring. It's a circle on the floor. It's got magic sigils inside it. It's maybe, 15, 18 feet diameter. It's got some fires around it, and there's a big plate of glass, like 3 foot by 5 foot, if not bigger, floating vertically in front of Talisman, like a precursor of a giant flat screen TV.
That's exactly what I thought of when we got a good look at it. It just sort of looked like a flat screen.
But in 1990, a TV that big would be like 5 times that big on the other side. It
would be absolutely massive. It would weigh close to a ton.
Oh yeah.
The narration box opens with, "She's all alone now, trapped in a vicious circle." Okay. It will be said out loud next issue, but this is quite literal. Talisman can't leave her circle of power for reasons that aren't entirely explained. So, yeah, that kind of sets up why she spent the past issues and spends the next couple issues sending spirits out to tell people what to do and where to go. And in the case of this issue, just straight up kidnap people. Like that, she just keeps grabbing them without and not giving them a choice in the matter.
Yeah, Elizabeth is so weird in this era.
Yeah, she's really, it's really strange. I don't entirely
like. I can get
love it
that people do like this Elizabeth. We're saying she's weird, and yet she's also probably one of the most consistently written characters in Hudnall's arc. It's just that her job is to be cryptic, so it's a little bit easier to make that look consistent,
And also she has the clearest direction for what she's doing, even if she's doing it poorly within the context of the book. It just, I don't know. Like I liked the Spitfire version of Talisman, even when she was, losing her humanity or whatever. That was a more interesting character to me than whatever's happening here. I don't know. It's
I can
odd.
see how this is a character that people will like. I just kind of liked that snotty brat a bit more. Who she reminds me of in this era is Layla Miller from X Factor Investigations with Jamie Madrox. Have you read the Layla Miller stuff?
Some of it. Remind me, and I'm probably going to get this wrong, but isn't she somewhat time displaced in that run?
We'll call it time displaced. She was a remainder from House of M when Scarlet Witch remade the world and the mutants were in charge. When that all got unmade, Layla Miller was a person that was, I believe I have this, it's been a while, but I believe that she was like created for that world. And then when the world disappeared, she stayed. Or else, I forget all the details. Layla is a really confusing character, and honestly, probably my least favorite part about that Peter David book. Because every Peter David book is enjoyable, but there has to be a least favorite part. I've been reading some Peter David Star Trek novels, and let me tell you, not great. They are wildly inconsistent.
Interesting.
But anyway, Layla Miller's thing is that she tells people, hey, I'm Layla, I know things. So she's like an 11-year-old, 12-year-old girl who knows what's going to happen and when's going to happen, and uses that in ways that she just doesn't explain to people. And like, I remember there was an issue where she was like walking through their headquarters, like putting random things in random places. And then she orders a pizza. And then like right when the pizza guy pulls up is right when something else needed, and everything just suddenly zippered into place and when they said, Layla, how'd you do that? She said, I'm Layla. I know things. And that's what Elizabeth is doing here. She's showing up and saying, look, I know things. You have to go here and do this now. I know that. Now go do it. And I didn't enjoy it with Layla, and I don't particularly enjoy it with Elizabeth. I can see as a storytelling crutch, and that's what it feels like to me, as a crutch, not a convention.
Also because Elizabeth is recognizing that she is screwing up, that she is getting played. But I mean, instead of course correcting, she kind of keeps doing the same thing over and over again, expecting it to have a different result. And she's doing the best she can because she doesn't know what to do. And actually this plays into issue 83 that we might look at today. So Elizabeth is sitting in her power circle. She summons the spirit of space and time. And wait, didn't we read that book in our Kant class in college, Tom? Well, I didn't take Kant with you, but you might be thinking of our Heidegger class.
Yes. Forgive me.
Being in Time.
Yes, listeners, we have both read the book Being in Time and could probably discuss it if you give us a quick 5-minute heads up. Sein und Zeit, right?
Yes, and it's a lot. It spends a lot of time elucidating the distinction between Sein und Zeit and on. And I really prefer the later Heidegger, even if it was post-Nazism. Like, I found those thought processes far more interesting than when he was trying to play Hegel in that early period. We may have just lost all of our listeners, or maybe we've gained some more. I don't know. As Elizabeth reflects on her screw-ups that she completely played into Lan's hands by sending Alpha Flight after the villains that, I mean, we didn't go into those fights, but we mentioned who was involved last episode. She sends said spirit to gather 3 women to find a man trapped in another dimension. I think we have a slight discrepancy here because Elizabeth says that she needs 3 women to find a man trapped in another dimension, and she proceeds to yank Aurora out of the abbey that she's now living in, grab Kara and Laura. Kara's now going by Persuasion instead of Purple Girl. But it's not just Kara and Laura, it's Goblin too. And goddammit, Goblin counts. So it's not just the 3 women, it's the 4 women. Or the 4 beings, however you want to put it.
You know, another thing Alpha Flight did first. Goblin is Penance from Generation X. 8 of our listeners just went, oh shit, yeah. Goblin is Penance from Generation X. She's a clearly otherworldly, non-gendered, demonic-looking creature that's incredibly sharp and feral and does not communicate and is practically an animal, and also problematic autism explanation is wrapped up in her story. It's that weird mystery monster child trope, I guess. But yeah, like, again, we had talked before about, are we supposed to treat her as a mutant human, or are we treating her like an animal? Because everyone treats her like an animal, but then they talk about her like a human, and I don't. Either way, there's a certain stripping of personhood of Goblin here that I'm not terribly excited about. This is Goblin erasure, Tom, and I will not stand for it. Well, Tom, I guess we don't need to do the issue anymore because you kind of skipped through the whole thing, but that's also how Hudnall stuff gets done. You know, like, there are things that happen, and it's actually a very easy way to describe what it is that happens because the way it happens is not compelling. I mean, look at us. We skipped the last 2 issues and we didn't even mention it to the listeners, and nobody cares. Nobody notices. It was a big fight, you know?
A not very interesting one. Otherwise, we would have talked about it more.
Yeah. Just gratuitous violence to open the butthole of the world. So backing up a little bit to hit the high points here, because there is some fun stuff. But Aurora is in the Abbey, and it like is getting essentially kicked out because they're like, look, we know about your past. We don't want any trouble around here. And Aurora is all, here, Tom, I'm going to let you do it so you can do Aurora's voice.
Oh, actually, I was thinking most of this conversation between the head of the Abbey, I'm not going to call him an abbot because I don't know that that's what he actually is, but the priest and Aurora in full wimple nun garb, it's all done in French. So it has that, the fun little carroting around it that they do when something is in translation. I can't do a good British accent, but I would love if we could do British accents when they're speaking in French, and then the terrible broken French accent when she's speaking English.
What in the name of Jean-Luc Picard are you talking about?
Exactly.
I pity the school children that Aurora is having to teach, because those boys aren't going to pay attention at all.
Well, they weren't going to pay attention anyways. They're schoolboys.
Fair enough. But anyway, as whoever he is, her boss is saying, look, we just don't want any of these shenanigans around here. And Aurora's all, oh no, there will be no shenanigans from me. That is all behind me. When Heidegger's ghost shows up.
I like how when you do Aurora, she sounds very German and not at all French.
It's more of a Alsace-Lorraine thing.
I knew you were going to say that. It is 100% not an Alsace thing. All right.
Anyway, that's when Heidegger's spirit shows up here to whisk her away to do all of her superheroing stuff. And it appears like big as shit altering around them. And he's a Catholic priest, presumably, regardless of whatever title he holds. Animalistic spirits from Native American tribes showing up and like being like, you have to come with me, and all commanding. Catholic priests are not equipped to handle that well.
In that moment, the priest was slightly concerned that the residential school pass was coming for him.
Wow, that escalated quickly.
Anyway, Heidegger's spirit proceeds to unleash flames and seemingly reduce Aurora to a skeleton.
It looks like he kills her. Yeah, why? Who knows?
Also, it says, prepare your mortal soul. It gives every indication that she's now just ash.
Yeah,
it's
so
weird.
Whatever life Aurora had been building in her new shot that she got in issue number 50 when Bill Mantlo wrote her out of the book, that whole life has literally been burned down by Elizabeth sending this spirit. She can't go back. Like, she was getting fired from it anyway, even before this happened, and now they think she's dead.
Yeah, she's double fired.
So
we then cut to North Star, and Chris, I don't even know how to address where the fuck North Star is.
Yeah, they say he's in Svartalheim, I believe. And
they start by saying he's in Alfheim, but then also that he's on Asgard. And that's not how that works.
Right.
I mean, that's not even how it works in Marvel Comics. Like that, none of this tracks. Yeah. So anyway, he's now hanging out with a bunch of elves who apparently keep cats as companions or like ride them.
You know, in the Neverending Story, the dude with the racing snail, where it's all about the contradiction of this giant animal versus the little one and what it can do. These are giant cats with wings that humans ride on, which to me sounds like punishment. Because, I believe they show one of these giant cats clawing up a tree like a scratching post.
Yeah, and the tree complains. Like, look, that was actually kind of cute. I got kicked out of that. It just, a lot of this just doesn't make any sense.
The way that Terry Pratchett described elves in his book was he leaned away from the Disney elves and the things that Americans think of and leaned real hard into the old islands version of elves, where he says, yeah, they're terrific. They inspire terror.
Yeah.
And he described them as cat software, essentially, in a humanoid-looking body that then they glamour up to look like a fantastically beautiful human body. But in their heads, they treat humans the way that cats treat mice.
Susanna Clarke, in her book Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, does a very similar thing where the Fae are fantastically powerful, can look however they want to look, but yeah, definitely view humans more as playthings, like how a cat would interact with us if they could, like how a house cat would interact with us if they could. And frankly, they kind of do anyways, I suppose.
They don't understand the difference between laughter and screaming, and they don't care. They all sound like fun to them. That's cat software, you know? Anyway, so we've got these weird elves that don't look like elves, and they ride cats, and we're in some mystically Asgardian place. Northstar foolishly walks through some standing stones and then ends up in apparently an even different realm, but Hudnall doesn't understand Asgardian cosmology.
Northstar is walking towards what the elves refer to as the dolmens. That kind of rang a bell, so I looked into it. The dolmen is a term for Neolithic structures, where you have two standing stones and one stone over the top of it. Actually, dolmens are still used, and they're all over the world because they're pretty basic structures.
So Stonehenge.
Similar, but not quite the same. Like specifically, it has a roof to it in a way that Stonehenge or doesn't. What's interesting to me about this is when I looked it up, it took me a minute to find the actually the wiki article on it, because the most common use of dolmen gate, if you just do dolmen, it'll come up. But if you do dolmen gate, you either get a Magic the Gathering card or a Necron portal in Warhammer 40,000. That's where dolmen gate is most commonly used, and it makes me I am convinced that Hudnall was an early adopter of Warhammer 40,000. He absolutely, that makes so much of this makes so much more sense to me.
Is Lan the kind of thing that one would find in Warhammer?
A lot of what Lan is doing kind of almost, but this is early Warhammer too, so a lot of the current lore that's now used is nowhere near formed, but Lan is much closer to an early Warhammer version of the Chaos Gods that are now a bit more standardized or have changed over time than almost anything else. Like, he reads more like that. Immensely powerful, bent on doing evil, vaguely eldritch, vaguely human. Yeah, it tracks a bit better. I'm gonna have to flesh this out a little bit more. Check back in with me next episode.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll make a special of Alpha Flight 40,000.
Oh my God, that's so good. I could do that in a heartbeat.
Well, there you go, Tom. There's your summer project to just whittle at with your brain.
Would Guardian be sanguineous? Maybe.
There's, again, 8 listeners going, oh, fuck yeah. Anyway.
I'll tell you right now, the best part is the Warhammer 40K wave in some ways has crested. So, of course, we're going to jump on it now.
Well, no, what I was thinking was that, goodness gracious, the Warhammer wave is a whole hell of a lot bigger than the Alpha Flight wave.
In so many ways.
What we need is Henry Cavill to get on board with Alpha Flight, because apparently that's the key to making the wave rise, right?
Something along those lines.
It's Cavill that's a big fan, right?
Yes, and
oh, thank God I got it right.
and it is developing a Warhammer show or something like that with Amazon.
I have really enjoyed Fallout, so I'm curious to see how that works out.
Cavill would be a fascinating Guardian because he's too handsome to be Guardian, but he has the right jaw to wear that costume.
I know that a lot of people say that Jared Keeso has the jaw to be Guardian, but I still think he would make an absolutely fantastic Walt as a washed up, well, not washed up, but past his prime athlete, which Shoresy has shown us.
Keeso could crush it. Maybe cast Keeso in all the roles and really just...
That's what AI is for, but we have a strict no AI stance here. So we will not waste a medium-sized city's worth of electricity and water to bring you a 1-minute clip of Jared Kiso playing all of the original 6 Alphans, including Puck and Aurora.
You know who else has a really strict no AI policy? The God Emperor of Mankind. But that's just because
you mean the Pope?
That's just because Warhammer 40K takes a lot from Dune.
Hey, I'm on board with the Butlerian Jihad. I just didn't expect it was going to be Catholic. But, enemy of my enemy.
Back to the issue.
So Northstar walks into the standing stone, what was it called?
Dolmen Gate.
The dumbass gate. He walks into the dumbass gate because you have to be a dumbass to walk into a dolmen gate. Even I know, you see some stones standing around in a circle. You don't get in that circle. Mushrooms, that's different. That's a natural thing. They explained how the mushroom circles happened. But those stones were put there by humans for some reason that you don't understand. Stay the fuck out.
Or maybe non-humans.
Oh, thank you for making... This is why we have the uncanny valley reflex, is because of dealing with the Fae.
It's as good an argument as any I've heard.
Hey, there's a reason we have an uncanny valley reflex, and it's terrifying to think about whatever humans encountered way back in the day that was almost human, but not quite, so you should kill it.
Kill it with fire.
They didn't have fire then. They just had stones and sticks. It took effort. Like a fire, that's an easy killing. Killing with stones and sticks, you got to put your back into it. You're going to sweat from the effort, not the heat.
To get things back on track, Northstar wanders into the gate. The elves he's hanging out with don't know how to control it. So apparently it is a portal. They don't know how to use it. He muses about going back to Earth and it suddenly gets jumped by a bunch of goblins or trolls or something. Dragged
in
off.
some other realm that Hudnall doesn't understand, which gives us a smash cut to Etobicoke, Canada, which I believe that you skipped the province there, James.
They're trying so hard to be better about the Canada stuff, and they just totally shit the bed of those things.
Well, Laura and Kara are just hanging out in her mom's apartment like a couple of girls, and Kara is apparently now about 17 or 18 years old, Tom?
Give or take, yeah. So, no, not 18, maybe 17.
Yeah,
17 tops.
17, and Laura is acting more like a normal 13-year-old human girl. And not her, and I use this term with sneer quotes, autistic self that we met in Mantlo.
We disposed of the autistic angle quite a while ago.
Mm-hmm. Even Mantlo got rid of it by the end of his.
Yeah, once Laura and Goblin were fully reunited and the Dream Queen stuff was taken care of, the autism thing went away. It was never brought up again. It's frustrating in that regard. But you know what? I'm glad to be behind it because it was insulting in the first place.
So they're just kicking it and talking about clothes and Laura's sitting sideways in the chair. You know how tweens do. Nobody sits in the chair the right way. I saw my sister this weekend and her daughter's a few years younger than ours. And she said, how long do they sit upside down on the couch? How long does that phase last? And I said, upside down till about 11. Sideways, about 23.
And that's just you guessing.
Yeah. I haven't even hit 23 with the oldest yet, but yeah, still sideways. In the past several appearances, Laura has gained significantly more control of her portals that she can create instead of just going into what they called Live World, which we know is the Dream Queen's dimension, which was apparently the only portal she could make. When we met her, was she could open a portal and get Goblin from Live World, and they would switch places, which I think was the original power, was that they had to switch places Captain Marvel, Rick Jones style, and then it just kind of got changed over time, because Bill Mantlo didn't care about how powers work or being consistent about it. But Laura can now open portals to specific places like on Earth. She is now a generalized teleporter, not a hyper-specific with her mutant sister teleporter. So she grabs Goblin. We've now got the three ladies in one place. And Kara debuts her new name and her new costume to go along with her new age, because this is no longer little Kara Kilgrave, 13 years old, is it, Tom?
No, this is now persuasion. I'm not convinced that the new outfit is necessarily her new costume. It might just be the outfit she's wearing, but I guess now that's just what that's a terrible costume. Like, it just...
Well, I mean, as an outfit, if she's going to Burning Man, it'll be okay. It's all asymmetrical, so it's one shoulder, and then it comes over to, like, the middle of her torso on the other side, and then it cuts over to the other side. So there's lots of cutouts. There's only one leg to the pants. It's a very conceived in 1989 by a dude who doesn't do fashion costume. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. I won't. I'm not gonna push back on that.
If John Byrne had designed this, it would be wildly more fashionable, even if it was stupid, like Elizabeth's. You know?
Yeah. Well, similarly, she does have high heel boots going.
Yeah, and Kara is noticeably more mature. That's why I'm commenting upon her being obviously aged up. That even if we say that it's been 2 years since we met her, because remember, Alpha Flight was gone for like months. So some of these stories were essentially published in real time for how it passes for the characters. So let's say the Kara has aged 2 years since we met her as a 13-year-old. I can see a 15-year-old dressing like this, but I can't like it. I'm not saying I like the 17-year-old. I just, the overt sexualization of Kara, because, well, I think it's kind of like with She-Hulk, where it's a girl who's a different color, so it's fun to think of her as really pretty and sexy. I think that's what this boils down to.
Having changed into her new outfit, Kara returns to the living room to put on a fashion show, only to discover Heidegger's spirit staring at Laura and Goblin, who then proceeds to, bathe them in fire after saying, "Prepare your mortal souls."
Yeah, we don't see their skeletons like we did with Aurora this time, but apparently this is how Heidegger's ghost transports people.
Yeah, I'm not totally comfortable with that. Heidegger's ghost bathing people in fire.
Heidegger's ghost sounds like an underground political party in Germany.
Or like a early 80s goth band.
Oh, there's a Heidegger's Ghost cover band joke there. I'm not quick enough to do it.
The cure for Heidegger's Ghost. What ails
Heidegger's Ghost? Heidegger's Ghost is my Rammstein and the Cure mashup band.
I was going to say my Berlin Depeche Mode tribute band.
You know what? I feel like we're practically saying the same thing.
Yeah, really. Kind of moving
Scene
right
change.
along.
In the last couple issues that we kind of glossed over, in all that gratuitous violence that was happening in major Canadian cities, what ended up happening was Alpha Flight surrendered to the new Gamma Flight that's running around as the officially government-sponsored team. So Gamma Flight arrested Alpha Flight, and then the, I guess, police? I know we're in Winnipeg, Manitoba. It tells us that, but it doesn't say what type of facility we're in. But apparently, Alpha Flight's being held in a drunk tank. Boys on one side, girls on the other.
By the way, the fact that it says Winnipeg, Manitoba, and the previous one just said Canada, is in its own way, like, insulting. Like, just be consistent, guys. Can we please exercise some editorial control here?
Mark,
it's either
where
all
the fuck
Canada
are you, Mark?
or it's provinces. I don't know what to say here. Just come on. Can we get it together?
But also, this results in, since they're gender segregated, Heather and Lil are locked in a steel cage together.
And getting along just fine.
Well, they have other people to hate, and that really helps to bring two girls who don't like each other together, is when there's someone else they can hate together.
I do appreciate Lil pointing out that they simply could have mopped the floor with Gamma Flight if they wanted to.
Yeah, they left Heather with her costume while she's locked up. Like, even if she and Lil were to throw down, she can't hurt Lil. Like, that would be an interesting cage match to see, because... Can Lil outlast her batteries?
While in the drunk tank, a general shows up to discuss things with Alpha. Basically, he lays out that in the 3 months that Alpha Flight was gone, all sorts of terrible plagues, occurrences beset Canada, and that in every instance, Alpha Flight was somehow connected, which is part of why they're so pissed at this team. It's not just that they're no longer government sanctioned, it's that they are somehow, they think, connected to all of the awful that has been taking place in Canada over the last however long.
You might recall the high body count issue last episode where there was the little girl who had a message for Alpha Flight, and we'll get into it in next issue, but apparently there's been more stuff like that happening in the 3 months that, again, we did not see. This story has not been laid out for us. We're just being told that these things have been happening after the fact instead of having it unfold in front of us to help build tension.
Which is similarly Alpha Flight's experience of this, yeah. But it just doesn't land properly. This is also where we are told the exact body count, which is 342 people dead. Just imagine the biggest... the World Cup's going on right now. So just imagine all the beers that Scotland drank in 5 minutes of their game. And that sound all at once of beer cans cracking. And yeah, there you go. It's deafening. We then jump to Puck, still in the hospital, having continued to shrink in size, but seemingly stopped, stating that he needs to leave the hospital and go help Alpha, whereupon the nurse and doctor shoot him up with some drugs to make him sleep because they have a lot of tests they want to run. It feels weird and creepy.
Oh, I'm going to make it creepier. Tom, pull up the page.
Wait, it's made even creepier in the subsequent issue. Right now, it just feels... odd.
Yeah, it feels odd, but the creepy part, if you pull up the page, in the center panel where there's a close-up of the nurse drawing whatever they're going to inject him with, if you notice, she's biting her lower lip.
Oh, great. Thank you, Chris. That I did not.
Oh, yeah, no, she is very much like, oh, yeah.
Well, that's definitely the energy that comes across in the next issue.
Well, who knows what they did to Puck when he was under. Apparently... Puck is just
this is the theme now. Everyone just puts grabs Puck and does whatever they want to him. Like, this sucks.
Puck has his own free use channel, apparently.
Oh, God.
There you go. I broke Tom.
This issue wraps up with Aurora waking up in her second costume, the gold one, not even the classic cool one.
But she's got the blue scarf and it looks great.
Yeah, it's fine. The issue closes with Aurora waking up in her new costume, joined by Kara, Laura, and Goblin. Heidegger's ghost then appears to all of them, stating that they must quest to retrieve North Star, that the portal they open will then bring them to where he is among the cat elves, to beware of the dark elves and their blood-drenched temple, and then disappears. At which point Kara suggests to Laura, let's just go home. Can you make us a portal and just take us home? She makes a portal, and it's not home. It is, in fact, a wooded space that looks quite a bit like where North Star was kidnapped from.
And they walk through the portal, realize they're not in Kansas anymore, and they get attacked by the same vague weirdos that North Star was. End issue. Hallelujah, one more closer to the end of Hudnall. Not to put too fine a point on it.
With that, we come to Alpha Flight number 82, titled The Underkingdom, part 2 of The Quest for North Star. Cover date March 1990, same creative team as last issue, and Tom DeFalco gets a boring old editor-in-chief credit. It feels like everyone has given up.
Yeah! We don't have our special names for what Tom DeFalco does. We don't have our special cover or credits page. It feels like every other comic book on the stands in March of 1990, you know?
And not in the way that we would want it to feel.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the comics on the stands in March of 1990 weren't the greatest. And competing with those on the stands, it's all about the cover, right? So, on our cover, we have another extremely John Byrne, but he's feeling Jim Lee breathing down his neck, and it shows in women's faces cover, but it's still a great cover. Aurora is standing protectively in front of Laura Dern. God damn it, I even typed it wrong, Tom. Aurora is standing protectively in front of Laura Dean, while Goblin menaces a pack of big brutes with her claws, and Kara Kilgrave, no longer 13 years old, helplessly points at the brutes while in her underwear or something. Her costume is drawn differently in this issue, so I think they were just told to sex her up. Or maybe Calimee decided to. Maybe somebody decided it was time for Kara to blossom, and so she has blossomed.
I really don't love the use of the word blossom there, but
Neither do I, but here we are, Tom.
here we are. Coloring is more than a bit odd. Everything in this era shifts to a new palette. The logo is pale yellow on top of pale hot pink. The main background is white and an almost sage green. They colored Aurora's scarf yellow when it should have been blue.
I think that if they had colored that scarf blue, centered in the picture like that, with that different color to help differentiate it from her yellow costume, I don't think I would have mentioned any of this at all. But boy, that blue scarf with that yellow and white costume, for some reason, really works. And it was only on because she was out in the cold. Like, it wasn't really a part of her costume. It was a scarf. She's not wearing much and she's cold. You lose a lot of heat in the neck, Tom. That's a Letterkenny joke. Text on the cover reads, Mutants in Asgard, and both of them get their own logo font treatment. Like, it's really abrupt when this starts happening. The Mutants is just the New Mutants logo with the new cutoff. I don't know that I've seen this Asgard logo before or since, but it's cool, and I like it.
Between the team logo, North Star's logo, the Mutants, and the Asgard logo-ish things, it's all feeling extremely branded, but also somewhat cut and paste. I mean, which makes sense. Once you have a brand identity, you need to repeat it, repetition, etc.
That's what it sounds like. Marvel got a consultant who sat down and was like, look, you guys have 1,000 different brands here. You need to start making the most of them. Even the Alpha Flight logo here has a little registered trademark R after it. Everything is locked down.
Yeah, this is when design thinking starts to penetrate all of corporate America. Flash page opened to right where we left off, with a bunch of ill-defined and very poorly perspective brutes attacking our heroines with implausible weapons.
Kara assumes command of the Ursats team. Can we call them an Ursats team? No, it's an impromptu team. Kara assumes command of the ad hoc team and is oddly effective here, calling out what people should do. We find out that Aurora doesn't have her powers, which makes you wonder why she's coming along on this whole trip if she's just the crazy lady. Sorry, crazy ladies out there, but that's all her powers that she's got. It's a lot of power, but it's not the same as blinding light and, supersonic speed.
Kara, or Persuasion, as we have to call her now, I really preferred Purple Girl, but anyway, uses her powers to stop the brutes and gets a bunch of info from them, but then her powers fade.
In a great exchange, Aurora, in her ridiculous accent, demands to know where her
brassiere
and the cat elves are, and the brute says, "Why would the cat elves have your brassiere?" And she replies,
"My brassiere, you bag of grease." I miss doing those voices.
Oh man, it's a nice lampshading of the utterly hate crime level accent that Aurora is given when she's in between Aurora and Jean-Marie, which I guess is where we're at. Because when we left her, the magic power of Loki had dropped her off at the nunnery, having unified her two selves into that horrific accent version of her. Before the brutes can attack again, Laura opens up one of her portals in the ground underneath them and sends them or the ground somewhere. I wasn't quite sure. Anyway, she's really flexing her powers here, because what she created was a sinkhole, essentially. It's just that sinkhole could open up into a different universe, which is pretty cool. I'm liking this kid more than anything Mantlo wrote for her. That's for sure.
All right, cool. I think we can call it then. We just said something we said something great about Hudnall. We'll take the win and we'll pack it on in.
Catch you all in 2 weeks, folks. Peace.
Not really.
No, of course not.
Scene change to Elizabeth in her power circle, monitoring their progress and facilitating another scene change to Alpha Flight's interrogation in jail by the aforementioned military general, which I don't think that's how things go, but I'm not Canadian. I'll see my Canadian relatives this weekend, so I can ask them then. Though, if they've ever been in a position to be interrogated, that's a whole other conversation, I suppose.
Okay, that is an interesting conversation, but I would also be interested in hearing a recording of you sitting down and saying, like, okay, guys, what's Canada like? And that's it. Just leave it open-ended, like something on Between the Ferns.
You would simply hear chairs scooch backwards and people walk away. Like, It'd be amusing in that regard.
Well, the general info dumps that in Alpha Flight's absence from Earth for so long, there, like we said, a bunch of weird things happening that all point to them, like a rain of fish that left fish neatly lined up on the ground, spelling Alpha Flight, which is really specific and not something Alpha Flight would do if they were behind it. Like, why?
I mean, unless they were the wet bandits, they wouldn't.
I mean, this is supervillain level presentation. And the wet bandits, by the way, are not supervillains, okay?
No. But did you notice where the rain of salmon happened?
No, where was it?
Moose Jaw.
Oh, the totally real place of Moose Jaw. Here it's delightful. This type of branding is more like, it's not supervillain or even superhero shenanigans. This is street level vigilante like the Crow or Daredevil or even the Punisher, who have all lit their logo on fire as a calling card in a film. But this is not really something a superhero team has the bandwidth to accomplish, you know?
With what the journal is saying, all these weird happenings, that whole issue with the astounding death toll, it would have been great to see these woven in as those sort of unconnected vignettes Byrne used to give us.
Oh, I could totally see it.
And that would have hit differently. And if they've been spaced in earlier issues instead of just being an info dump, they would have been much more effective, and then have the journal be the summation point. I mean, look, Hudnall is trying to tell his story, but he's not using the tropes that this book has used successfully to define itself in the past. But he's also just not using them effectively, period, for storytelling purposes.
Oh, just like, seriously, in the last 4 issues, 1 page, unconnected vignette that shows us this fish rain. And then another page in the next issue. You could do 2 pages if you really wanted to start building this, of just showing some weird stuff that would let us know why the government is putting together Gamma Flight and why they don't like them. It would have been so easy.
We got 5 pages of Zeitgeist. And we can't get even this.
I don't even have the energy to summon a U-bum on this one. Anyway, the general says, listen, boys and girls, you're here because a higher authority than myself ordered it. Yeah, because he's a Southern general from Canada. Someone very powerful. And he's got plans for you. Big plans. Which is ominous, but whatever. And
ties into our next scene where Elizabeth peers in on her father, Dr. Michael fucking Two Young Men, getting discharged from the hospital, but without Puck. The first words out of Shaman's mouth this issue is, could you tell me where Eugene Judd is? Chris?
He said,
Shaman said, Shaman doesn't say,
No.
Michael knows what he's going to say when he's going to speak.
Yeah.
He's a doctor, goddammit.
He sounds like Jeffries. He's not Michael fucking Two Young Men, who everyone in the hospital would say, oh my God, it's Michael Two Young Men. I can't believe we get to work with or on Dr. Michael Two Young Men. That's how he got the response at the beginning of this. Alpha Flight has wrecked his reputation, apparently. Just in the tank, you know? Nobody cares about Michael Two Young Men anymore. He's old busted.
Anyway, Puck is being kept drugged in a closet by some doctor who mentions that he's doing this for the Master, which suggests the Master of the World.
Well, who we saw be activated by Lon.
But we also, later in this issue, get Lon referred to as the Master, so it's a little unclear which Master. I'm leaning towards Master of the World. I am not fully convinced.
The ad hoc team, which I have decided unilaterally to call Elizabeth's Angels, is struggling through the brutes. They get into some blood-soaked temple. They rescue Northstar. It really doesn't matter. If Hudnall's not going to put the effort into defining the 9 realms, or even tell us what world we're in or what species we're fighting, I'm not going to spend more effort on trying to make it make sense, Tom.
Though Laura is able to activate the Dolmen Gate, which is nifty. Again, like, Laura's getting some serious shine.
Yeah, when they ask her to do it, and she's like, okay, here, let me take a look. Like, I appreciated that little subtle bit of this teenage kid being like, oh, you're trusting me with a big task. Yeah, I can do that. Check this out. Here, look at what I can do. Like, Laura is my favorite character of these pair of issues we've got today.
Having rescued North Star, Laura creates a portal to get them the fuck out of there.
They end up in that null space, kind of like where they were when they met Heidegger's ghost, who hijacked him over here. But when everybody else is confused about where they are, Laura says, "We're walking the space between times. I've been to places like this before. Just ignore it." Like, they're following this teenage girl through reality bending stuff happening all around him. She's like, "Oh, no, it's cool. It's cool. Just keep going." It's like an Inside Out when they have to cross through that space where all the rules of space and time break down, and they just have to get across and pop out, and everything will be fine. It was just a nice little touch, again, showing Laura to be the most interesting character in this book right now.
They proceed to rescue North Star from a ritual sacrifice. The head priest identifies the master, the person they were going to sacrifice North Star to, as Lan, the sorcerer, and that he is gathering them as part of his army, clearly to come through the butthole of the world. Yeah, so this is how that all ties in, and maybe this is the first time that Elizabeth's plans have worked out, because this might actually have disrupted something. Who knows?
Elizabeth's angels teleport back to Maison Alpha, where they appear in Elizabeth's magic room outside of her magic circle, and Elizabeth explains why she pulled them together and that they're going to go fight a war, and she makes a big war fighter stance, and it's awkward.
And that's the end of the issue. There is some mention of the negative zone, which is a place in Marvel, and I don't know that's being used properly here or why it comes up, but it suggested that's why Kara's powers fade at one point. I don't know. It's all...
Elizabeth's dress is also different here. It's not a dress anymore. It's like a swimsuit with straps that come down her thighs. It's weird.
Look, there's some neat things in these issues. I think Kara and Laura are by far the most interesting of the characters, of our characters or our team that we've had in a while. They're written well. Again, why the hell write them out if you can write them this well?
Right.
But yeah, it just, as I said at the beginning, it feels like we're kind of marking time. Like, Hudnall clearly is trying to write this grand epic. It just doesn't feel epic. And this would have, compressing this to 5 issues would have been a much wiser decision.
So those are the 2 issues that we've got for you today. I realize that for 2 issues, we have talked an awful lot, but Tom, this has been a very fun episode, and I've really enjoyed having this time with you. This is why we do this, is because I love hanging out with my best friend and talking about things that don't matter.
It's not... It's not about the issues read. It's the friendships made along the way.
Maybe the real issues were the friends we made along the way, Tom. See, it's a double entendre with issues.
Yeah. Can you tell that we read Heidegger?
All right, Tom. Now, we are going to be picking up next episode with another couple issues. They're going to be interesting, but the next issue has a guest artist. And as part of our outro teaser here, I wanted you to open up the next issue that you have not read. So open up Alpha Flight number 83 and take a look at the cover.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Am I looking?
So somehow
what's wrong with Elizabeth's face?
Yeah. And Lan, the sorcerer, somehow looks like Maynard from Tool and Pussifer in A Perfect Circle. I don't know how, but that's what I get from that. I'm like, oh, Maynard with red eyes. Cool.
He looks like the Wishmaster.
Yeah, I want you to skip through until you hit the credits page. Okay, it's page 3. So just look at the art. Don't read anything. Just tell me what you think.
What am I looking at?
Apparently, Elizabeth looks like Wonder Woman now.
What is this?
Yes, this is the guest art of James Sherman.
Listeners, there may or may not be another episode. We shall see. Why Not Read Alpha Flight is brought to you by listeners like you who subscribe to our Patreon, and by the Excelsior Embroidery Company, wholly owned subsidiary of the Roxxon Energy Corporation, and as such, legally required to introduce itself to all of its neighbors after moving in after the release of the Jerry Jackson emails. I really need to pre-read these commercials. This week, Excelsior is featuring a patch of the familiar X-Men icon, but in a color scheme that evokes Magneto's costume, because after all, He made some valid points. See this and hundreds more designs at ExcelsierEmbroidery.etsy.com, where listeners of Why Not can use the coupon code WN503 to get 50% off any 3 items in the store.
Why Not Read Alpha Flight with Chris and Tom is recorded in Chicago, Illinois, and deep beneath stately Baker Manor in a fashionable neighborhood outside St. Louis. It is written by Chris Baker, edited by Tom Flynn, with additional cat noises courtesy of Teeny the Needy Calico. Our theme song is O Canada by Five Iron Frenzy. New episodes are released every second and fourth Monday of the month at www.thewhynotpod.com and wherever you get your podcasts, where ratings and reviews are always welcome as a way to help our community grow. And we love hearing from our community. You can reach us on Blue Sky, Instagram, and by email at whynotehpod@gmail.com. Join us next time in 2 weeks as we continue our Kampf.
What did I tell you about using that word? I mean, I guess there was a lot of German in this episode already, but no more of the
it fits
Kampf
here,
stuff.
Tom.
Shutting it down.